Zara Okoye ran from the Korean Mafia boss, until he grabs her against a wall. Zara Okoye had been in Seoul for 2 years, yet the city still found creative ways to confuse her. Today's masterpiece of confusion? The endless hallways of the Daehan Cultural Foundation, so polished and white that every door looked the same. She clutched her interpreter badge, muttering in frustration. Room 407? 409. Why is this place built like a maze? She finally spotted a conference room with the lights on and the sound of low voices inside. Good enough. She was already 10 minutes late. The museum director was probably inside tapping his foot at her. Zara straightened her blouse, fixed her braids, took a deep breath and pushed the door open. What she walked into was not a museum donor meeting. The air inside felt heavy, thick with tension and danger. 6 men in dark suits sat around a long table. None of them smiled. But she only noticed one. Kang Jae-won. He sat at the head of the table, leaning back in his chair like a man who owned the building, the street and maybe the whole city. His eyes lifted slowly to her, sharp, focused and dangerously observant. Zara froze mid-step. The room fell silent. A man standing by the window reached discreetly for something inside his coat. Another shifted closer to the door. Zara swallowed hard. She stepped into the wrong lion's den. Jae-woon spoke first. His voice was smooth, deep, too calm for the kind of tension in the room. You're not who I was expecting. Zara blinked. Her heartbeat jumped into her throat. Oh, I think I'm in the wrong room. I'm supposed to be interpreting for the Museum Foundation board meeting. No one answered. Not the men standing like statues. Not the ones sitting like shadows. Not the dangerously silent man at the head of the table. Jae-woon stood up. And somehow he looked even taller, even sharper, even more intimidating. He walked toward her slowly, each step measured. Zara's feet refused to move. He wasn't glaring. He wasn't smiling. But something in his expression said he had already memorized everything about her. Her breath stuttered. When he finally stopped in front of her, he spoke softly, but the softness didn't ease the chill racing down her spine. Who let her in? One of the guards bowed quickly. Yes, sir. She opened the door before we could stop her. Zara raised her hands. I'll just go. Sorry for interrupting. Have a great, meeting? Or whatever this is. She took a step back. Jae-woon didn't stop her, but his voice chased her like a shadow. Find out who she is. Zara froze at the door. Not what she was. Not why she came. But who she was. She didn't wait to hear anything else. She bolted. Down the hallway. Down the stairs. Out the revolving glass doors. Her lungs burned by the time she reached the street. She leaned against a bus stop pole, gasping, shaking, trying to process what just happened. God. Zara, what did you just walk into? She didn't know the answer. But far behind her, inside that room, Kang Jae-woon watched the security footage replay on his tablet. Watched her expression shift from confusion to fear to determination. His eyes narrowed slightly. Zara Okoye, he repeated, tasting the name like it meant something. Minseo, his right-hand man, asked quietly. Should we bring her in? Jae-woon shook his head. Not yet. A faint, unreadable smirk appeared on his lips. She'll cross paths with me again. By the next morning, Zara convinced herself that yesterday was nothing but an awkward mistake she would laugh about someday. You won't see him again, she told herself while stirring her tea. Rich men don't remember random women who walk into meetings. She was wrong. Very, very wrong. The calm before the storm. The translation agency where Zara worked was usually loud. Phones ringing, printers choking on paper, co-workers gossiping about celebrity scandals. Today, however, the lobby was unnervingly quiet. Too quiet. Zara pushed the glass door open, humming to herself, until she noticed everyone standing awkwardly at their desks, staring at something near the reception area. Why is everyone acting like statues? She whispered to Mira, her co-worker. Mira didn't move her head. She just darted her eyes to the side and mouthed, Don't move. Zara followed the line of everyone's gaze. Black shoes. Perfectly tailored suit pants. A man standing with his hands clasped behind his back, posture straight, expression unreadable. Minseo. The man she had seen in the wrong room yesterday. He looked like someone carved a bodyguard from steel. The moment his eyes found her, he stepped forward. Miss Zara Okoye? Her stomach dropped. Oh no, she breathed. Yes, she answered reluctantly. Minseo bowed politely, but it still felt like a command. The chairman requests your presence. The chairman. Not a chairman. The one. Her co-workers silently watched, eyes wide like she was being arrested. One in turn even dropped her iced coffee. Zara forced a laugh, backing up slowly. I think you have the wrong Zara. I'm sure there are other. Mincio didn't blink. Chairman Kang Jae-woon is waiting outside. Everything inside her froze. Her worst fear, parked outside her workplace. The black car. Mincio walked toward the glass doors and held them open. Zara followed unwillingly, like a person walking toward Judgment Day. A sleek black Genesis sedan sat at the curb. The kind of car that didn't blend in, it dominated. The windows were tinted, but Zara felt eyes on her before the door even opened. And then he stepped out. Kang Jae-woon. His suit jacket was folded neatly over one arm, revealing the rolled sleeves of his white dress shirt. His veins, his watch, his presence, everything about him was sharp enough to slice through steel. He looked at her with the same calm intensity as yesterday, as if he had been expecting her reaction, her fear, her trembling breath. Zara swallowed hard. Why are you here? She asked, her voice a whisper. Jae-woon closed the distance between them with slow, unhurried steps. To talk. I'm at work. He glanced at the office building behind her. I noticed. This is inappropriate. He raised one eyebrow. Then come somewhere more appropriate. Zara's heart hammered. No. I'm busy. A lot. A transparent one. Jae-woon's expression didn't change, but something like amusement flickered in his eyes. You can refuse a job, he murmured, but you shouldn't lie to me. Zara froze. His voice wasn't threatening, just softly aware, like he knew things she didn't want him to. She clenched her jaw and lifted her chin. Why me? Why not hire one of the hundreds of professional interpreters in Seoul? He stepped closer, far too close. Because they don't interest me. Her breath caught. Heat shot up her neck. Interest? She echoed, panicked. Jae-woon's gaze lowered to her lips before meeting her eyes again. Yes. Zara stepped back, flustered. No, thank you. I can't work for someone like you. Someone like me? He repeated softly, testing the phrase. You're dangerous. A long silence stretched between them. Then he smiled. Slowly. Darkly. Good, he said quietly. You're perceptive. Zara turned quickly, ready to bolt back into the building. But before she reached the door, Jae-woon spoke again. Run if you want, Miss Okoye. She froze. He didn't need to shout. Didn't need to command. His voice was calm enough to terrify her. You're good at it, he said. And I have patience. Zara pushed through the office doors and didn't stop moving until she reached the restroom, locked herself inside, and grabbed the sink to steady her shaking hands. She breathed out a trembling whisper. What does this man want with me? She had no idea that outside Jae-woon was leaning against his car, hands in his pockets, watching the building with a quiet, dangerous curiosity. She's interesting, he murmured. Mincio nodded. Shall we investigate further? No. Jae-woon's smile deepened. She'll come back into my world on her own. He slid into the car, the door closing with a soft, final click. She just doesn't know it yet. For 3 days Zara lived like a fugitive. Not from the police. Not from danger she understood. But from Kang Jae-woon, the man whose attention felt like both a curse and a question she didn't want answered. Her co-workers whispered every time her phone buzzed. Mira watched her like a mother hen guarding a runaway chick. Zara, Mira whispered on day 2 of the hiding operation, is a mafia boss really after you, or is this your dramatic imagination again? Zara glared. You weren't there, Mira. He showed up at my job. My job. So, he's hot. That is not the point. But it was part of the problem, and Zara hated acknowledging it. Avoidance strategy, level 100. Zara changed everything. Her route to work. Her subway line. The time she left home. The street she used for lunch breaks. Even where she bought her groceries. Every black car made her heart race. Every quiet alley made her walk faster. Every tall man in a suit made her turn the other way. She blocked all unknown numbers. She ignored every message even remotely suspicious. She was, in every sense of the word, running. And for a while she believed it was working. Until the sky turned dark that Thursday. Footsteps. Zara had just bought vegetables from a small night market, clutching the bag to her chest while walking home. Her neighborhood was usually lively at night. Vendors calling out, neon signs flickering, street food sizzling. But today the air felt different. Silence hung unnaturally heavy. Too heavy. Zara's steps slowed. Behind her. Footsteps. Not fast. Not running. Just steady. Confident. Like a man strolling through his territory. She didn't want to turn. Didn't want to confirm what her instincts screamed. But she did. And she saw him. Kang Jae-woon, walking casually as if they were on some evening date, hands in pockets, expression calm, eyes fixed only on her. Zara's heart slammed into her ribs. Nope. She turned and walked faster. The footsteps behind her continued at the same pace, unrushed, unbothered. As if he already knew she would run. The moment her fear turned real. Zara's walking turned into speed walking. Then into jogging. Then into a full-on sprint. And that was when his voice cut through the empty street like a blade. Zara. She didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Her breath tore through her lungs. Her shoes slapped the pavement. But what scared her most wasn't that he was following. Was that he wasn't running. Not even trying. His footsteps stayed slow. Measured. Almost patient. Like a hunter who knew the prey would tire before he ever would. She reached her apartment building, typing her entry code with shaking fingers. She slammed the door behind her and pressed her back against it, chest rising and falling rapidly. Inside the small lobby, the fluorescent lights buzzed above her. The world felt too bright. Too close. She pressed a hand to her pounding heart. Why won't he leave me alone? She peered through the glass. Jae-woon stood at the street corner, half-shadowed, hands in his pockets, looking up at her window. Not moving. Not approaching. Just watching. Come. Unblinking. Unshakable. As if he had all the time in the world. His lips moved. She couldn't hear him. But she read the words clearly. You'll talk to me eventually. A chill ran down her spine. She tore herself away from the window and hurried up the stairs, trying to outrun the echo of his gaze. Inside the safety of her apartment, Zara sunk onto the couch, her groceries forgotten. Mira blinked behind her laptop. You look like you saw a ghost. I wish it was a ghost, Zara whispered. Because ghosts didn't follow you. Ghosts didn't wait for you. Ghosts didn't know your name. But Kang Jae-woon did. And for reasons she didn't understand. He wasn't done with her. Zara didn't leave her apartment for 2 days after seeing Jae-woon outside. Even Mira, usually dramatic enough for a K-drama audition, stopped teasing her and instead brought her food like Zara was a patient in recovery. But cabin fever eventually won. Zara, you need fresh air, Mira insisted one evening, grabbing her wrist. You're jumpy, paranoid, and you've watched that same Nollywood movie 4 times. Let's go to the night market. Food cures everything. Zara sighed. Fine. But if I see a black luxury car, we're teleporting home. Mira laughed. He's not omnipresent. Zara didn't answer. Because a small, traitorous part of her wasn't entirely sure. The night market glow. The night market buzzed with life, neon signs flickering, steam rising from food carts, Korean chatter mixing with the sizzle of oil. Zara finally started to relax. They sat on small stools at a tteokbokki stand, the kind run by an elderly ajumma who served food like it was a sacred duty. Zara took a bite. Heaven. For the first time in days she smiled. Mira exhaled in relief. See? No mafia. Just carbs. Zara chuckled. Let me enjoy my pepper before fate remembers me. But fate was already watching from the shadows. The men in dark coats. Zara felt it before she saw it, the prickling awareness down her spine like eyes drilling into her back. She turned slightly and noticed 2 men in dark coats standing too still, too quiet, near the edge of the crowd. A third approached from the side, pretending to look at vegetables. Something was wrong. Mira, Zara whispered, don't look now but I think. Before she finished, a hand clamped around her wrist. She gasped. A tall man with a scar running from his jaw to his neck leaned in. Come quietly. Our boss wants the interpreter girl. Interpreter girl. Her blood went cold. Not Jae-woon's men. Someone else had been watching her. Zara tried to jerk her hand back but his grip tightened. Let go, she shouted. Mira stood up. Hey. Get your hands off her. The scarred man smirked. Be quiet. He started dragging Zara away. But before he took 3 steps, crack. A gunshot split the air. Everyone screamed. Vendors ducked. A table of skewers crashed to the ground. Zara froze as the man holding her stumbled, eyes wide in shock. He hit the pavement. Zara gasped. And then she saw him. Kang Jae-woon appears like a shadow. Jae-woon emerged from the dark end of the alley, gun still in hand, expression hard enough to carve into stone. His presence didn't feel human. Felt like an omen. He didn't look at the injured man. He didn't look at the startled crowd. He looked only at Zara. And his voice was ice. You shouldn't walk alone at night. Zara's pulse thundered. Confusion, fear, relief, all tangled together. Why are you even, how did you? Her words stumbled. He holstered his gun smoothly, stepping closer. Did you think only my men were watching you? Zara's anger sparked through the fear. Stop following me. Jae-woon didn't flinch. Didn't answer immediately. He reached out, slowly, lifting a hand as if to check her face for bruises. His fingers brushed her cheek. Zara's whole body jolted. She slapped his hand away, breath trembling. Don't touch me. The crowd was still panicked, but his men handled the chaos silently, expertly, making sure no one filmed. Jae-woon watched her reaction with unreadable calm. Then, a small smile. Barely there. Dark. Intrigued. Good, he said softly. You're still bold. Zara stepped back, heart pounding. You can't just show up with guns and... You were about to be taken, he interrupted, voice low. I prevented that. You're welcome. That doesn't mean you own me. He tilted his head, studying her like she was a puzzle. I never said I did. But something in his eyes said otherwise. The escape attempt. The moment he glanced at his men to give instructions, Zara bolted. She didn't think. She just ran. Through the maze of food stalls. Past startled vendors. Past neon lights and spilled sauces. She heard Mira shout her name behind her, but Zara didn't stop. Couldn't. She had to get away. Away from guns. Away from mafia wars. Away from the man who made her feel watched, wanted, and dangerously alive. She sprinted into a narrow alley between two buildings, heart hammering against her ribs. But she didn't make it far. Because Kang Jae-woon followed. Not running. Not shouting. Just walking. Unhurried. Certain. A predator who didn't need speed, only inevitability. Zara looked back once. And the sight of him, calm, confident, stepping into the alley, made her stumble. Her breath caught. She turned and sprinted harder. Not knowing she was moments away from the moment that would change everything. Zara didn't think. Didn't breathe. Didn't look back. She just ran. Her feet pounded the alley pavement, her lungs burning, her heart beating too loudly in her ears to hear anything else. She turned sharply around a corner, hoping, praying, that she could lose him in the maze of backstreets behind the night market. But it was useless. There was no escaping a man like Kang Jae-woon. The sound that made her freeze. Zara leaned against a brick wall for 1 second, just to catch her breath. Just 1 second. A quiet exhale sounded behind her. Just a breath. Not a footstep. Not a shout. Just the soft release of air from the lungs of a man who did not run, because he did not need to. Zara's heart stopped. She turned. He stood there, blocking the mouth of the alley, silhouetted beneath a lone streetlight. Jae-woon's dress shirt was slightly undone at the collar, his sleeves rolled up, revealing the veins along his forearms. His eyes were dark with something she couldn't read. Anger? Concern? Possessive frustration? He walked toward her. Slow. Controlled. Quiet. Like a storm approaching on soft feet. He grabs her. Zara tried to sprint away again, but he was faster this time. Not running, just stepping in with lethal precision. His hand closed around her wrist. Warm. Firm. Unmovable. Zara. Just her name. But the way he said it made her body tremble. She twisted her arm, but his grip only tightened enough to stop her escape, not enough to hurt. Stop, he murmured. Let me go. No. His voice was low, not threatening but final. A quiet steel she couldn't bend. He turned her gently but decisively, guiding her backward until her back met the wall. The impact was soft, cushioned by his control, not force. But it still stole her breath. Jae-woon braced one hand beside her head, trapping her between his arm and the cold brick. Not pinning. Not caging. Just close. Too close. His presence filled the small space like he'd absorbed all the air she needed to breathe. Zara stared at him, her pulse racing wildly. What do you want from me? She whispered. He leaned in, not touching her, but close enough that the heat of him slid across her skin. Answers, he said softly. And for you to stop running long enough to hear me. Why he followed her. She swallowed hard, her voice barely holding. You're dangerous, Jae-woon. I know. And I don't want any part of your world. He exhaled slowly, eyes fixed on hers. You became part of it the moment a rival gang saw you near me. That's not my fault. I never said it was. Zara's breath shook. Then why chase me? His jaw tightened slightly. One muscle jumping. Because I can't protect you when you disappear every time I come near. Zara blinked. Protect? She didn't expect that word from him. It felt too human. Too vulnerable. If you were in danger, he continued. I needed you where I could see you. Not scattered across the city running blind. His hand loosened around her wrist, slowly, deliberately. Not letting go. Just easing the pressure. As if waiting to see what she would do. The moment their fear turned into something else. Zara tried to step away from the wall, but her body was betraying her. Her legs felt weak, her breath came in trembling waves, and her mind was spinning with every quiet word he spoke. You can't keep chasing me, she whispered. Then stop running. She looked up sharply. His face was inches from hers, his breath warm. You think I'm not afraid? She said, voice shaking. A dark, quiet smile curved on his lips. I can hear your heartbeat. Zara pressed her palm against his chest. Not to push him away but to hold something steady. His heart was steady. Completely unbothered. Unlike hers, which felt like it was trying to break free. Why me? She whispered again. She needed the truth, needed something real to anchor all this chaos. Jaewon's voice dropped to a low, intimate murmur. Because you walked into my world with fear in your eyes but still stood tall. Because you speak to me like a man, not like a ghost story. Because you look at me like you're trying to figure me out. And because, he said softly, I haven't felt this awake in years until you ran from me. Zara's breath stuttered. Her hand curled slightly in his shirt. And he noticed. His eyes flickered down to the small movement. Not hungry, not aggressive, but aware. Fully aware. Jaewon leaned closer, his forehead almost brushing hers. Don't run tonight, Zara, he whispered. Not from me. Her throat tightened. And for the first time since meeting him, she didn't move. Not forward. Not backward. She simply stayed, breathing the same air. Caught between fear and something far more dangerous. Something she didn't want to name. Zara didn't know how long she stood there. Her back against the wall. His body heat ghosting over her skin. Her heart refusing to settle. When her legs finally threatened to give out, Jaewon stepped back a single inch. Only an inch. Then his hand slid from her wrist to her elbow, steadying her. Can you walk? He asked quietly. Zara nodded, but her voice betrayed her. I think so. You're shaking. No. I'm just cold. It was a lie. Both of them knew it. Jaewon's eyes softened by a fraction, barely visible but real. He shrugged out of his jacket and placed it over her shoulders without touching her skin. Come with me. Zara tensed immediately. No. Absolutely not. I'm not going anywhere private with a mafia boss. You don't have a choice tonight. I always have a choice. His gaze held hers for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. You're right. You do. She blinked, stunned. He turned slightly, giving her space, but not distance. Zara, he said gently, if those men find you again, they won't try to drag you away in public next time. They'll do it somewhere dark. Somewhere no one can see. A cold wave rolled down her spine. They think you're connected to me now, he continued. Because you were seen at my meeting. Because you were seen with my men. Because I shot one of theirs for touching you. Zara stepped back, heart pounding harder. You didn't have to do that, she whispered. Actually, I did. He took a slow breath. That's the part you keep misunderstanding. You're in danger because of me. The least I can do is keep you alive. Zara's protest died on her tongue. His voice wasn't cold this time. It wasn't commanding. It was tired. And sincere. More sincere than anything he'd said before. Come with me, he repeated, so I can explain what's happening. Somewhere safe. Zara pressed her lips together. Just to talk. He nodded once. Just to talk. Her pulse raced. She searched his face for deception, manipulation, anything. But all she saw was a man who didn't know how to ask for cooperation gently, even when he was trying. Finally she exhaled shakily. Okay. A subtle release of tension crossed his shoulders. He guided her out of the alley, but not by grabbing her this time. Not even touching her. He simply walked beside her, close enough to shield, far enough to give her space. A silent guard. The safe house. He didn't lead her to a mansion. Or an underground lair. Or some cliché mafia hideout. He took her to a small, almost plain apartment tucked between two buildings on a quiet street. The kind of place you'd never look at twice. The inside was spotless. Minimalist furniture, clean walls, faint smell of sandalwood. A few books. A few files. Nothing personal. Zara frowned. This is where you take people? No. This is where I go when I want to be left alone. That answer unsettled her more than any weapon could. He gestured to the couch. She sat carefully, fists clenched in his jacket. Jaewon stayed standing, leaning lightly against the table, watching her with an unreadable expression. Finally she asked, "Why am I involved at all? You don't know me." His jaw flexed. "You walked into a meeting meant for my lieutenants and my legal cover. Rival groups assumed you were important." "I'm not," she insisted. His voice deepened. "You were important the moment they decided you were." Zara swallowed hard. "So they want to use me? They think you're a connection point? A weakness?" He paused. "I don't have weaknesses." "That's a terrible thing to admit." "I know." Silence settled between them, until Jae-woon's next words sliced through the air. "But you are becoming one." Zara's eyes widened. Her breath hitched. "Why?" she whispered. And for the first time he didn't answer immediately. He looked almost conflicted. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, barely above a whisper. "Because every time you run, I react." Pause. "Because every time someone looks at you like prey, I want to break them." Another pause. "And because the night you appeared in my meeting, frightened, bold, shaking but trying not to, something in me woke up. Something I thought I buried years ago." Zara's chest tightened. He wasn't confessing romance. He wasn't confessing obsession. He was confessing something more dangerous. Interest mixed with humanity. The kind he probably didn't show anyone. She whispered, "J, I don't know if I can trust you." His gaze locked onto hers. "I don't expect your trust." He took a slow step toward her, the softest, most deliberate step he had ever taken. "All I need," he murmured, "is for you to stay alive long enough to decide." Zara's breath caught. The space between them crackled again. Fear, safety, tension, unresolved desire, unspoken truths all tangled together. He stopped just in front of her. Not touching. Just near enough that she felt his presence wrap around her like heat. "Let me protect you tonight," he said. "Nothing more." Zara's voice came out soft, fragile. "Okay." And Jae-woon exhaled so quietly it almost sounded like relief. Zara woke up to the sound of her own heartbeat. Not in her chest. In her ears. In her fingertips. Everywhere. Because today she was done running. She told herself that all morning. While brushing her teeth. While tying her hair. While drinking her tea even though her hands trembled. But when evening came, courage dissolved like sugar in water. And yet, fate didn't give her a choice. The alley she shouldn't have taken. Mira had begged her not to walk home alone. But Zara insisted. "I'm tired of being hunted," she said. And she meant it. Until she turned into the narrow alley behind her apartment. The shortcut she'd promised herself never to use again. Halfway through she knew she'd made a mistake. Because someone was already there. Standing near the end of the alley, leaning against the wall like he'd been waiting for hours. Kang Jae-woon. His black suit looked like it was cut from the night itself. His hair was pushed back, exposing the sharp lines of his face. And his dark eyes, those impossible, unreadable eyes, lifted the moment he sensed her. Time cracked open. Zara froze. Her breath caught. Her pulse stumbled. Jae-woon didn't move. Didn't speak. Just watched her. Slowly. Deeply. Like he was seeing straight through her defenses. Then he pushed off the wall and began walking toward her. Not fast. Not threatening. Just deliberate. Like a man who had reached the limit of his patience. The last attempt to run. Zara stepped backward. Jae-woon, stop. I don't want trouble. He didn't stop. He simply tilted his head, eyes narrowing. "If you didn't want trouble," he said quietly, "you shouldn't have run from me." Her back brushed the rough brick of the alley wall. No more space. No more escape. Her breath shook. "Why are you doing this? What do you want from me?" He stepped closer, close enough that she felt the heat of him, smelled the faint clean leather of his jacket. "You." One word. Heavy. Unapologetic. Undeniably true. Zara swallowed hard. People don't chase strangers because they're interested. His jaw flexed. "I didn't chase you." He leaned in, palm bracing beside her head. "I came to claim what you tried to throw away." Her pulse tripped. "Claim?" "You felt it too," he murmured. "The moment we met." "I felt danger," she breathed. He gave a soft, humorless laugh. "I am danger." Her heart nearly stopped. "But not to you." Pinned but not powerless. He didn't touch her. Not really. His hand rested on the wall beside her head. His body hovered inches from hers. His breath brushed her cheek. But Zara never felt more. Cornered. Alive. Her voice was a whisper. "You can't just decide things for me. That's why I've been waiting," he said. "For you to look at me without fear." I'm still afraid. His eyes softened, barely. But enough that she finally saw the humanity beneath the hard exterior. I know. Then why corner me like this? To show you something. He leaned even closer until his forehead nearly touched hers. You've been running from a man who wouldn't hurt you, he said softly. But you ran right into the ones who would. Zara blinked. What? The men in the black sedan, Jae-woon said. They weren't mine. Her blood ran cold. I've been keeping them away from you for weeks. The revelation hit her like ice and fire at once. She thought he was the threat. But he had been the shield. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Because you wouldn't listen. He breathed out slowly. And because I wanted to see how long it would take before you trusted your instincts around me. Her voice cracked. And what do your instincts say? That I should have done this the first night. His hand slid, but not onto her. Onto her shoulder, gentle, grounding. Zara's breath hitched. Her heartbeat erupted. And Jae-woon finally let the walls drop from his own voice. Stop running from me, Zara. A tremor rolled through her spine. Because I am not your enemy. The wall between them breaks. Zara didn't know who moved first. Maybe her breath moved toward his. Maybe his shadow moved toward hers. But suddenly they were too close. Too real. Too undeniable. Her voice was barely air. Then who are you to me? His answer came low, deep, and final. The man who will catch you, he murmured. Every time you try to escape. Her knees weakened. His hand tightened just enough to steady her. Not forceful. Not possessive. Just a promise. One she could feel all the way down to her bones. And for the first time, Zara didn't look away. Didn't run. She lifted her chin and met his gaze head-on. Then don't give me a reason to run anymore. A slow, dangerous smile touched his lips. I won't. He let her go. Stepped back. Gave her space. Without breaking eye contact. And for the first time since the chase began, Zara stepped toward him instead of away.